Welcome to the College Admissions Process Podcast presented by Prep Expert. Prep Expert offers live online SAT and ACT courses with the best score guarantees, instructors, and curriculum. Go to prepexpert.com to guarantee your child's success. Welcome to The Cap, where we are here to speak with college reps and other professionals in the field of college admissions to help answer all your questions and guide you through every step of the process. So if you're serious about college admissions, you've come to the right place. Are you ready? Let's talk about it. And now, here's your host, Dr. John Durante. Welcome to The Cap, the College Admissions Process Podcast. I am your host, John Durante, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you today Keira Vollandt, who's the Regional Assistant Director of First Year Admissions at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, better known, of course, as UMass Amherst. Keira, how are you? Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Our honor and pleasure. So, Keira, UMass, of course, emphasizes its commitment to public service and academic excellence. How does the university embody this mission in its academic programs, campus culture, and even your outreach to the community?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, many public universities focus on wanting to commit to doing the common good, meaning that they want to improve their local, national, and international communities. And I would definitely say that UMass Amherst is committed to that goal in many different ways. On the academic side, we have our Civic Engagement and Public Service Certificate program, and this is something that students can actually opt into. It prepares students to advocate for a more just society. We also offer state-funded research opportunities for staff to continue providing knowledge to the public. We actually just recently released our new strategic plan called For the Common Good 2024 to 2034, which offers a lot more information on our commitments to public service and academic excellence. It's really the focus of what the next 10 years of our future look like. Academic excellence definitely starts with our faculty. We hire top researchers who are also invested in being innovative teachers as well. We are part of a Five College Consortium, which I believe we're going to talk about a bit more. But one of the benefits of being in this consortium is that you have access not only to many excellent teachers and researchers, but also to diverse opinions and experiences that enhance learning. We also have a very flexible curriculum on our general education side that allows students to explore academically in and outside of their college. One of my personal favorite resources to talk about is our Center for World Languages, which allows students, faculty, and staff to teach languages they are fluent in that we don't offer as a department. So these would be languages like Arabic, Thai, and Gaelic. So I think those are just a few kind of tidbits into how we commit ourselves to our commitment. But I think there are a lot more things I could think of. And of course, our website's a great place to look into our commitments to the common good.
Well, there's definitely a lot more tidbits, and I definitely want to unpackage the Five College Consortium. Can you explain how students benefit academically and socially from this partnership, and what unique opportunities does it provide your students?
Yes, absolutely. So, just to give a little bit of history about our Five College Consortium, we were actually the first university system to try out this consortium. So, it's the oldest in the United States and arguably one of the most well-resourced in terms of just the number of different things that it can span. On the academic side, you can take classes that we don't offer at UMass. You can take classes in a more intimate classroom environment since the other four schools in our consortium are smaller liberal arts schools. You also get access to our other schools' libraries and their study abroad programs. We also offer some majors like our dance program that are Five College majors, which require you to take courses at each school in order to complete your degree. From the social side, of course, you get to meet and expose yourself to students that you might not meet otherwise and share ideas between each other. When it comes to being involved on their campuses, you could join their sports teams and their clubs, you can eat in their dining hall, you can study in their library. In general, just opens up the opportunities you have to pursue whatever it is that you're interested in. I think the key to all of this, again, is just more. There's so much you can do within this consortium, and we've really worked hard to make our campuses as kind of symbiotic as possible.
Well, that's terrific. And I didn't know it was the oldest in the United States. So just so the listeners know, what are the names of the other four in the consortium?
Yes, of course. So we have Amherst College, not to be confused with us as UMass Amherst. And then also Smith College and Mount Holyoke College, both of which are all women's schools, and then Hampshire College as well.
That's great. Thank you so much. And what are the different ways for a student to apply to UMass Amherst? And of course, I'm talking about early decision, early action, or whatever else. And is there a benefit to applying one way over the other, not only in terms of being admitted, but also for being considered for merit aid? And does this differ for your in state or out of state applications?
Yeah, excellent question. Right now, we offer early action and regular decision. Our early application deadline is usually in early November, and our regular decision deadline is usually in mid January. For us, there's no benefit of applying for early action over regular decision other than getting your decision back early. We typically admit the same percentage of students in early action and regular decision. There's also no difference in consideration for merit aid either. And since we don't have kind of an in-state quota to meet, it doesn't affect kind of our admissions numbers in any capacity. So we usually just encourage people to apply when they feel like they're ready. If that's November, great. But if, for example, you wanted an opportunity to retake your SAT or ACT and the date that made sense was after the early action deadline, it might make sense to wait until regular decision. Your school counselor is always going to be a really great resource for questions like this, too.
Well, I'm glad to hear that there's no in-state quota. That's a question that's been coming up more and more on the podcast episodes. So you basically have two rounds, early action, which the deadline is in early November, and regular decision, which is mid-January. So UMass Amherst follows, of course, a holistic application process. Can you share the key components of this process and how you balance academic achievement, extracurricular activities, and personal characteristics when evaluating, again, those applications?
Yes, absolutely. So, like I'm sure many other colleges have shared, I think academics are always going to be number one. And when I talk about academics, I specifically mean grades and rigor in your high school are the most important part of the process. Test scores are different depending on schools. I'll get more into our specifics on that later. But for us, grades and rigor within your high school are the most important. And this is especially true for programs like computer science, engineering, and business, where we have specific course requirements like pre-calculus or physics or chemistry. That all being said, what is really important to us is how you've maximized on what you have available to you, meaning, you know, based on the rigor of classes that are available to you, have you taken advantage of all of those opportunities to seek out rigor when they're available to you with things like honors or AP courses? Then, of course, there's extracurricular involvement. We want to see that you're involved in various communities in a consistent manner and that you've used your skills to make a mark on that community. So, we really want to understand how you've changed your local community by your involvement and then how that will translate onto our campus. When it comes to personal characteristics, I think those are also really important. There are some specific qualities that we definitely try to hone in on our applicants, and that includes things like intellectual curiosity, your ability to time manage, your resiliency, creativity, the impact you've had within your different communities, your achievement, academically or otherwise, and then how you've engaged with your community. You don't have to meet all seven in order to be admitted, but those are just some qualities that are going to be ones that will kind of put a key eye on. And we do weigh all of these things in context with one another. So while I did mention that grades and rigor are very important, they aren't the whole picture. For us, there's no cutoff where we won't consider a student for admission if we feel like they can bring value to our institution in other ways. But that's how we handle holistic review. And I think every school defines holistic review very differently. When I do talk to other schools, most of them say that academic performance is by and large the single most important part. I say this, but also when I used to work at a school that had a 9% acceptance rate, something that became important wasn't just taking rigorous courses, but how those rigor and that grades compared to students within your high school. I think something that maybe is kind of a misconception is that we're kind of comparing all applicants against each other. In reality, we're tending to look specifically at your high school and how you compare to students who have access to the same resources as you do. One other thing in that holistic review process that came up when I worked at some other more selective schools was handling rigor across different subject areas, meaning, courses that are writing focused versus courses that are more STEM heavy, especially at liberal arts schools. I think that we tended to value a lot students who could think creatively in many different areas and see connections between different subject matter.
Well, that's a great overview. And of course, you talked about the number one piece being the academics, but you emphasize based on the grades and rigor in your high school. So basically, students, what is offered to you? What did you select to take? And how did you perform? Those things are extremely important in the process. Now, you also mentioned test scores. So, how does UMass Amherst evaluate standardized test scores differently for in state, out of state, or international students? And do you have any specific recommendations for students considering whether to submit their test scores or not?
Yes, absolutely. So we don't evaluate test scores particularly differently for in state, out of state, or international students. We do have some additional testing requirements for international students to submit Duolingo or another English language exam if their course of study was not taught in English. Otherwise, we're on the same playing field. We are currently test optional. We plan to be test optional for the foreseeable future. And we use what we call a do no harm policy, meaning that we will only use test scores in our review process if they help a student's profile become stronger. I think that school counselors, again, are immensely helpful in figuring out which schools to send your scores to. It definitely should be a school dependent decision. Some of the resources that you can look at are seeing what the middle 50% range is at each school that you're applying to, and then how your own test scores compare. One other anecdote that I typically share with students is that I feel like to a certain extent, GPA and test scores can live in the same universe. So, for example, if we take like a 4.0 unweighted GPA, you're valedictorian of your high school, and you got a 1600 on your SAT, those values live in the same universe, right? You kind of maximized your high school experience and you did the best you possibly could on the SAT. But let's say same situation, you have a 4.0 unweighted GPA, you're the valedictorian, but on your SAT you got an 1150. Those two things just don't live in the same universe, and that's not helping us find a more positive outcome for your admissions decision. So I would say thinking about it that way can be helpful too. We're really looking for you to submit if you feel like those test scores are going to help give us a more positive outlook on your application as a whole.
That's terrific. And I love how you talked about your do no harm policy. And let me make sure I got this right. You would only use the standardized test if it, in fact, helps the overall application. Is that correct, Kira?
Correct.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And of course, the transcript is obviously a key component in terms of the academic review portion of the application. We always talk about looking at the applications holistically. I know that admissions representatives also look at the transcript holistically. So, Kira, how does UMass weigh course rigor versus GPA in the admissions process? In other words, not all GPAs are created equally. So, can you share what you look for when reviewing a student's transcript?
We actually weigh them together. So we recalculate students' GPAs so that they reflect the rigor of the coursework they took and their grades at the same time. And this is a way that we can standardize every student into one sort of grading system. I think the best thing that any counselor or student can do to help us better understand rigor is to explain what courses are available to students in the school profile and how your classes are weighted. If we don't know your system, then we can't help give students credit for the rigor that they took. I would say that this comes up a lot when schools label a class like college algebra. If that's not somewhere in the school profile and explained that that's the same level as a dual enrollment course at your high school, then I may not know that because there are other high schools that might label that same class college algebra, but it's at a regular or standard level. So it's hard for us to know and get all the context of rigor unless we're being told that directly. So wherever that can be described, please do so. That's really helpful.
Well, I think it's great advice. I think it's important, students, to really be mindful that there are many parts to your overall application. You need to know what is the purpose of each part, how they complement each other, and how they're supposed to build upon each. So, Kira gives an excellent example here in terms of a course like college algebra. Is it at the rigor of a dual enrollment class or not? If you don't explain that, right, just like she explained, you might be leaving it up to her to speculate whether it does or it doesn't. So be mindful of things like that. Speak to your school counselor when putting together letters of recommendation and what have you, so that things like this are explained in the application. Or again, you're leaving it up to the admissions representatives to speculate. And so you want to, perform, you want to show your profile in the best light. So make sure that you're taking all of those little nuances into account. So we appreciate that, Kira. And of course,
Absolutely.
the, yeah,
And more
did
often
you want
than
to say something
not,
else, please?
Yeah, and more often than not, I would say that we typically, if we're having the question of whether or not it's rigorous or not, we're going to say not. So
Understood.
ideally, sharing it with us that it is rigorous is going to be more help, like the most helpful.
And that's why the school profile really is an important part of the overall application. We say it all the time, students. The school profile really talks about all of the great things that your high school offers, whether things are weighted or not. It gives grade distributions and so much more information. Familiarize yourself with what is in your school profile, which can help you putting together what we call the application or that marketing package. So, Kira, I appreciate that. And what advice would you give students crafting their personal statement or even their supplemental essay to ensure it aligns with UMass's values and expectations? And can you share an example of one that really stood out for you?
Absolutely. I I think that you, when you're crafting your personal statement, this is a piece that's going to go to every college, and the likelihood is you're not going to be changing it between one college or the other. So I like to break down the personal statement into three parts. Talk about an experience or experiences that were important in shaping who you are, why it and they were important to you, and how the experience or those experiences are going to affect your approach to life and to college moving forward. My view on the application process overall is that every student should have a strategy and 3 to 5 key qualities that they want the counselor to take away from your application. I would use the application essay to hit on those. So, for example, if you want an admissions counselor to read your essay and think to themselves, wow, this student is really service oriented, accepting of differences, and hardworking, writing your essay about your community service project and how it's opened you to diverse perspectives could be a great topic. Whatever topic you decide to write about, and just as an aside, the topic really doesn't matter to me. I've read great essays about everything from Taylor Swift to The Sims. And to be honest, I've read so many different topics that it's rare for me to read one that's truly original. I
Hmm.
would think back to those 3 to 5 key qualities when reading it to yourself and ask, what are my takeaways? If I didn't know the person that I was reading about, what would I think about them? Your essay is really the one place where I can get to know you as a human being and a person. So write it the way that you would talk to me. I really like reading essays out loud personally and then recording them so I can hear them back and find those spots where, oh, that really doesn't sound like how I talk, and then rewrite them so that they do. A personal statement that I enjoyed reading recently was related to a student's decision to go on an outward bound trip and how that experience helped her connect with her grandfather and better understand his experience immigrating to the US. And that may not necessarily be the most unique topic, but what I particularly appreciated about her essay were the personal qualities that I learned about them. They are curious, they are accepting and open to others' experiences, they showed resiliency in the face of a difficult experience through Outward Bound, and showed that they wanted to learn about and engage with other cultures and communities. When it comes to the supplemental essays, I think the key to a successful supplemental essay is to be specific. If I can take out University of Massachusetts Amherst and replace it with Boston University and it would still read the same way, that isn't specific enough. So I recommend researching the universities you're applying to and to let us know that you've done your homework, right? So, for example, if you're talking about your academic major, is there a professor you want to study with or do research with? Extracurricularly, what clubs do you want to join? I think on top of that, an important point to hit with all of our essays is that you're not only interested in our schools, but you also want to leave our community better than you found it. So, what will you do to leave UMass in this situation better than you found it? So, for example, if you mentioned joining a club, what skills do you already have that will help you contribute to their efforts? What can I picture you doing at UMass to contribute to our community?
This is your host, John Durante, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome back Sean Patel, who's the founder and CEO of Prep Expert. Sean, welcome back.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me. And I'm so excited to announce that Prep Expert is the official title sponsor of the College Admissions Process podcast. This has been a partnership in the works for a while now, and I'm so glad we got it off the ground. We're so excited to work with families, parents, students of the College Admissions Process podcast at Prep Expert to help them through our live online SAT and ACT courses, not only improve their SAT and ACT scores, but help them get into college as well as win hundreds of thousands of dollars in college scholarships. Thank you so much for the partnership, and we are so excited to work with your families.
Thank you, Sean. And to learn more about how Prep Expert can support your child's academic journey, visit prepexpert.com today, and best wishes to all. Well, I think those are great pieces of advice. First of all, you talked about listing 3 to 5 qualities, 3 to 5 key qualities that students can share with you that are not easily found in other parts of the application. Again, emphasizing the point that each part has to complement each other and build upon the next without necessarily repeating. I also love how you talked about with the supplemental to be specific. If you are writing a supplemental specific to UMass Amherst and you think that you could use it at 2 or 3 other schools, you're making a big mistake. Part of the supplemental is, first of all, demonstrating your understanding of that specific institution. And you want to talk about perhaps an experience, why it was important to you, how it shaped you, your thought process, your reflections, and as Keira put it, how do you intend to contribute, right? Because colleges and universities are looking really for 2 main things. Number one, can you handle the academic rigors of their campus culture? And number 2, what kind of community member are you going to be? How are you going to add to their amazing school? So we really appreciate that, Keira. And what would you say are UMass Amherst's current institutional priorities for your incoming class? For example, are there specific academic fields, geographic regions that you're looking for, or any other areas of focus that align with the university's strategic goals?
Yes, so right now we are looking to increase enrollment just a bit. We've introduced 2 programs, our Global Launch and Career Launch programs, where students start their first semester elsewhere. So we're looking for students who are good fits for those programs. Our Global Launch program is offered in London, Madrid, Paris, and Dublin. So the curriculum is going to be tailored to each location's unique opportunities and allow students to get started on their general education requirements. Every location appeals to students from different majors. So pretty much everybody is eligible for this program if they're interested in it. And they can always search UMass Amherst Global Launch on whatever search site they like and find out more about that program. We're also offering a career launch program, which is offered on our Mount Ida campus in Newton, Massachusetts. It's in the greater Boston area. The program is offered to a pretty small cohort of about 50 students, and they encourage a lot of career exploration during your first year at a smaller campus. The idea being that you'll have opportunities for additional networking and be able to build your professional skills.
Well, I wasn't aware of the global launch program. That's very interesting. Obviously, just to be clear, that's not mandatory, right? But it's part of an institutional priority in terms of you looking to get more students to participate. Am I correct?
Yes, absolutely. This is entirely optional. We invite students to apply for it if they're interested in it. It's something that you can indicate on your application if you're interested in. If you're not, you're more than welcome to skip over it. But if you think that this is something you might be interested in, I definitely encourage you to look more into it. We've definitely expanded it in the last few years. It started out just being offered in London and it's really expanded beyond that. So it can be a really great opportunity if you're interested in going abroad and learning about different cultures.
Well, that's terrific. Thank you so much. And expanding on institutional priorities, Keira, UMass receives obviously tens of thousands of applications annually. Can you share what is your institutional priority in terms of the number of freshmen you want to enroll as an incoming class, and how many applications do you actually receive?
This year, we're looking to enroll around 5,450 students, and right now we're sitting at 52,600 applications.
Great. So you're looking to enroll a freshman class of approximately 5,450, somewhere around 50,000 applications. So what's the yield? What's the percentage of students that you have to admit in order to eventually fulfill that freshman class of approximately 5,450 students?
So, part of any university's approach to building a class is going to be to accept more students than we can ultimately admit. Most colleges have a yield rate that is Much lower than you would expect, could be somewhere in the 20 to 30% range. We typically accept more students than we end up enrolling, with the idea being that our director will kind of set this larger goal. We'll start to meet students during accepted students times. You'll deposit and we'll have more students than we expect. And then there tends to be a trickle period during the summer, during which we call it summer melt, where students end up enrolling other places, getting off wait lists, and that hopefully gets us around that 54-50 mark.
Well, we appreciate that insight. And of course, you mentioned the deposit, and that reminds me of money. So, what types of financial aid and scholarship opportunities are available at UMass? And how can students best position themselves for merit based awards?
We offer need-based and merit-based aid at UMass. We offer need-based aid in the form of loans and grants based on the information that we have from your completed FAFSA profile. On students' offer letters, we offer a merit-based scholarship from the admissions department that ranges based on your academic profile. So this isn't a direct one-to-one where if you have like a 4.3, you automatically get X amount of money. It depends on what the whole class looks like at the time, where that scholarship would land. We also have application-based merit aid available through financial aid. Every one of these opportunities has different requirements. So I would look to the financial aid website and use their database to filter for scholarships that you may be qualified for and learn more about what they're individually looking for from a recipient. On top of those opportunities, individual schools and colleges also offer scholarships. So I would look at the website where your major is under and reach out to those departments to learn more about what they're looking for. Long story short, do research on the financial aid website. That's the best place to start.
Well, that's great advice. And of course, we always put the Office of Undergraduate Admissions in the show notes. Kira, if there are any other links that you want to share with the students and families listening, just provide them to me and I'll put them in the show notes. Now, transitioning to college can be challenging, right, for many different people. What resources or support systems does UMass offer to help all students succeed academically, socially, and even emotionally?
I don't think I could name all of them, even if I tried, but I'm going to do my best to provide you with a snapshot of just a few opportunities that we have available so that our students feel really secure while they're on campus with us. Like many other colleges, we have residence hall advisors. They're always a great resource to lean on as you get used to living on your own for the first time. They can provide support and advice, but also help you connect with the many different services that we have on campus, like university health services and mental health resources. We also offer what we call RFYE, Residential First Year Experience, to group first year students into the same residential areas. We offer, with that, academic and social engagement opportunities to help students connect with one another and be successful academically during their first year. We have several different support centers on campus to aid students' physical, emotional, academic, and even spiritual well being. CMAS, or the Center for Multicultural Advancement and Student Success, hosts our 4 cultural centers where students and allies can engage in conversations about culture and belonging on campus. We offer tutoring services and have resources available from our disability services team to help students perform well in the classroom. Students can join any of our clubs or even head to our chapel to continue practicing their religious faith. And our Hillel Center in particular is very active. Finally, we have our University Health Services and Center for Counseling and Psychological Health. They can offer one-on-one treatment for acute needs, but also offer workshops and group sessions to help students become their healthiest selves. Our new student and family programs team facilitates Welcome to the U, which is our orientation program. There are a number of components to this program as well, including Next for the U, Guide to the U, and Ready for the U, that all prepare you for Welcome to the U. And I'll go ahead and break those down really quickly. Next for the U is a student e-newsletter that students get for the first 18 weeks of their transition to UMass. And within that, they'll get their new student checklist and get help registering for orientation. Guide to the U is a series of self-paced online modules to introduce the student to the UMass community, our resources, our values, and our expectations. Participating in this program helps students prepare to meet with their academic advisor for the first time, which will happen during the summer. Then we have Ready for the U, which is a pre-orientation program that can either be completed online or in person in June or July. So this program helps students navigate campus, acquire skills to prepare themselves academically, learn about living and acting responsibly on campus, and start networking with faculty, staff, and current students. Finally, Welcome to the U takes place a week before the fall and spring semester begins. This would be our formal orientation program, which starts the week before the semester begins and helps students acclimate to campus, connect with their peers, and foster healthy habits. And like I said, there are so many more that I'm definitely not thinking of. One that I want to make sure I highlight is our residential academic programs, where students live together based on a common class they're taking or common interests. The information is readily available on our website, so you can keep digging in and finding support for anything you need to be successful there. And you can also, of course, reach out to your local admissions counselor who will be happy to help further connect you with those resources.
Well, there's definitely so many resources and services. Students, when you get on campus, you just have to seek it out because there really is so much for everyone. And so, looking ahead, what exciting developments, initiatives, or changes can prospective students expect from UMass in the coming years?
So, our focus at this point is adding new academic programs. So, this year specifically, we have two new majors we're going to be offering, which is our neuroscience major and environmental engineering. We're also consistently updating our campus with new resources and new buildings. We're actually opening a new computer science lab this fall. It's going to offer updated classroom space, innovative research labs, and community spaces that we hope will encourage creativity and collaboration, all in service of the common good. The building's going to prioritize low energy use to help meet our UMass Carbon Zero initiative. We also opened new apartments last year to help meet our students' housing needs. One of those actually includes a rock climbing wall. A lot of our students are very excited about living there.
Well, that's terrific. Anytime a college or university is expanding with new majors and facilities, that's always a fantastic sign. So, unfortunately, we're getting close to the end, Kira. Before I ask my last question, I always like to ask, are there any questions that I simply didn't bring up or a topic that didn't come up in this conversation that you'd like to share with us now?
Sure, absolutely. So, something that I am particularly passionate about is always just making the recruitment process better for students, their families, and for admissions counselors too. And in the past year, I've had some personal changes that have made the recruiting system as it currently stands less accessible to me. And it made me realize that there are many ways in which the current recruitment system that we have can be hard to access for a lot of people. Recruiting as an admissions officer is really physically demanding. There is this age old practice saying that admissions officers should always stand through a whole fair, which can be upwards of sometimes 3 hours or even longer. And chairs aren't even always available. And even when they are, most students and parents aren't accustomed to, talking to a recruiter when they're sitting, and the students and parents are just looming over you. When you go to a high school, you never know what you're walking into when it comes to access to food and water. So sometimes counselors are going 2 to 3 hours or even longer without water while speaking to tens, if not hundreds, of people. Bathroom access can become difficult too, where sometimes you as a counselor are choosing between helping yourself or missing a key student interaction that can affect your performance at work. We also often share bathrooms with students, which can create some kind of uncomfortable interactions. On the student side, I mean, I can imagine if you're a student with a chronic illness trying to get to know schools and you're having to walk or stand for long periods of time, or maybe you have a parent or a grandparent who came with you to a national fair, and you don't have access needs accommodated because of just the nature of a fair setup, it made me question just how accessible these events are to a lot of people. One other thing that comes to mind immediately in terms of accessibility is language accessibility. Something that we're talking about in the field right now is the demographic shifting in the US and Spanish becoming a more commonly spoken language almost as much as English. The need for handouts and materials in other languages to kind of help break those barriers. Um, John would love your kind of take on some of the stuff that I'm bringing up right now.
Yeah, so what it's making me think about is what can you tell us about the accessibility on campus, not only as people, travel around the beautiful campus of UMass, but also accessibility to your buildings and other facilities.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's something that's definitely really important for us. During our accepted students events and our prospective students events, we have golf carts that run through campus. So for any of our families that need help accessing an event or a particular part of campus that they're not close to, they'll be offered rides on those. We also have our UMass bus system that runs through our campus. So if students need to get from one part to the other, they'd be welcome to take that. And all of those buses are accessible. We definitely try to comply with ADA requirements to make sure that students could get into and out of buildings as well as have elevator access. I think that no university is perfect with this, and I'm sure that there are ways that UMass could probably do better in this space, but I think there's definitely been a lot of effort on our part to try to make our campus as accessible as possible. And then, of course, there's disability services as well. So if you are having issues or if you need help in the classroom, they're definitely going to be a good resource to reach out to. If you're somebody who thinks that you might need those services, please don't hesitate to reach out either to them or to your counselor. And they would be more than happy to help connect you with them earlier rather than later, so that if you have, say, an IEP or a 504 plan in high school, that you can translate what you had available in high school to college and even possibly expand beyond that.
Well, I think those are great pieces of advice. First of all, the importance of being ADA compliant, but also you mentioned if you have an IEP, a 504, or if you have some other disability, it's very important to reach out to the appropriate offices, because UMass, as well as many other colleges and universities, have so many things to offer each and every student, but you just have to ask for it, seek it out, and see all the great programs that they have available to all of your students. Keira, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, it does bring us to that last question, which always is, what are your top 3 pieces of advice that you would provide students and their families getting ready for the college admissions process?
Sure. Can I do 4?
Absolutely. Yes, you could do 5 if you want.
Thank you. All right. So, first one, and I'm sure other people have said this too, start early. Senior year can get really, really chaotic between applying for colleges and doing your last year of sports and being enrolled in multiple AP classes. So, within that, the college process is basically like another academic elective course. So making time to write the Common Up essay over the summer is honestly pretty crucial in making sure you have time to deal with everything else during the fall, like the supplemental essays, the activity section, and even portfolios or special projects when individual schools might have those extra requirements. The college process in general, I know, can be really frustrating, disappointing, and discouraging. There are unfortunately no guarantees, even with the best laid plan, that your student will end up exactly where they pictured themselves. And that's okay. There are so many wonderful schools out there. As long as you and your student make the most of what's available to you, really any school can launch you towards where you want to go. Another thing I recommend is looking at external scholarships earlier than you think that you need to. Some of them have really early deadlines, like the fall before your student is going to college. So something you might want to make time for over the summer too is researching those external scholarship opportunities to get ahead of that process. And that's especially true for national scholarships. And then just a final note for students. Supplements have a bad rap for being a lot of extra work. And you kind of look at them and think, okay, like what's my return on this? Why am I doing like 4 essays for one school? I would try to look at each supplement as an extra opportunity for you to share something new about yourself. There's no way that your Common App essay contains every piece of what makes you special, unique, interesting. It's just too much to ask for 650 words. Find ways to give me insight into who you are and what you love in those moments, and hopefully that will bring more joy into the process.
Well, I really appreciate you talking about the supplemental and looking at it as an opportunity. However many supplementals schools ask for, but look at it as an opportunity to add extra information about who you are that frankly is not found in other parts of the overall application. Great advice, amazing conversation. Keira, thank you so much. I do look forward to having you again in the future.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's our pleasure. And to everyone out there, good luck with the college search. Take care all, and best wishes.
Best wishes.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of The CAP, the College Admissions Process Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please don't forget to tell a friend and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. I am your host, John Durante, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The CAP. Hey, podcast friends, if you've been enjoying the College Admissions Process Podcast, I'm excited to share my new book, Straight from the admissions office, Insider Strategies for College Applications. It's packed with insights and tips from over 250 podcast episodes with admissions professionals designed to make the college process less overwhelming. Whether you're a student, parent, or college counselor, it's a valuable resource for navigating the admissions process. By grabbing a copy, you're also helping to support the podcast. The links are in the show notes. Thank you, and best wishes to all with the college admissions process.